and me grumbling in the corner. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're all ready to rock here. Where are you settled?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is actually kind of cool because you've been in here for like what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
And normally we we will like have, the shit show you've come into in the past when you've come to the Dutch Hall. Like
I've been to like so many different variations.
Yeah.
Like not only the way that the room is set up, but like amount of people changes. Because I was here like early on.
Where it was one-on-one like this almost.
When it was one-on-one like this, and we were at a table, and my wife came with me.
Yeah.
And we were like smoking cigarettes, and we were talking after, because you saw me at Tom Segura. I opened up for Tom Segura.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was the first one I did. You weren't even doing comedy yet.
Yeah, you were my first comedian I had on, and for the express purpose of figuring out how to do comedy.
Right, yeah. You were asking me questions about like going to do it and stuff. Yeah.
At first, when I started this podcast, that's all it was. Like I knew I wanted to do comedy and I wanted to do podcasting.
Right.
But I didn't know how to do either of them. And then I would just book people to ask them questions. Like I book musicians, say, "How do you get booked?"
Right.
And then I would book, I would just be like, how do you do your social media? Like I would always be like just having people on for that purpose. I'm not gonna lie, today's probably about the same thing. I'm right back to that because I am because we used to see each other a lot doing shows after that, right? And then you both get kind of like where you want the same spot.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
And then you don't see each other as much. And then we also, like, you're also like traveling a lot more, and we don't get to sit down and chat. So
yeah.
This is what I'm looking forward to because you're always been like the canary in the coal mine for me of seeing like what I should be doing as a comedian or what what the possibilities are.
Right.
So I always I'm really that's what much to our queen, our one and only Patreon subscribers dismay. She doesn't like when we talk comedy shop, but she gives us $10 a month. And and I do feel I have to apologize to her every time because I'm indebted to her. I'm basically her whore.
Right. Yeah.
I will do whatever she and Clean Flow want me to do.
Sure. He'll do anything for $10 a month, folks.
Yeah, so, definitely. And Clean Flow's giving me, I'm not going to tell you what they're giving me, but it's more than $10
more
a month.
$10 a month?
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you off air what it is.
Brag.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, you're going to be so envious, Jason. I'll tell you. But we'll tell you. I won't tell you the numbers, but it's rich.
It's good,
rich.
yeah.
Oh god damn, it's rich.
Nice.
Like I'm gonna start spending like we're gonna start giving listeners gifts with the money. That's how.
That's great. I'm
frivolous with it.
Yeah.
I'm not using it even to improve my technology, reward me for my efforts. No, I'm giving it to them.
No, yeah, you already got a great setup here. Pay it back to them.
Back to them. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And then maybe I'll get more of them. And then once I have more of them, I lull them into a sense of security, and I would just rob them blind.
Yeah, like Uber.
Yeah.
You spike the.
Yeah.
What's it called when they? I never take Uber, but I just know I watched a show about it recently, and that's why I made that reference.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, and I pretended I knew what you were
it's
talking
surging.
about.
It's like surge. Yeah,
like when there's like a demand that it surges.
Yes, that's right. So on New Year's, you're suddenly paying like $100 for an Uber or something like that. It's ridiculous.
I do like that aspect of it where it's kind of like in a perfect world. I don't understand why I can't have Uber in Norfolk County because it should just be you go on your phone and you say like, hey, I need a ride. Who's going to give me a ride? And the people that want to give rides say, I'll give you a ride for $50.
Yeah.
And then another person will say, I'll do it for 40, and then like that until you get the one you want.
Yeah, why not? Like a free competitive market. Yeah, that's how it should be for sure. And especially it's like, is Norfolk County not allowing it here, or is it just that nobody's doing it here?
I think Uber doesn't allow it, or Uber. It says we're not a big enough center or something.
Oh, I see.
Right,
okay.
but like for them to invest. What? I mean, no, they don't do nothing. Just give their driver the sign.
I don't know the business side of like what they would have to like pay into to.
Okay. This idea I'm going to give you. It's going to sound smart, but it's not smart. Okay.
Okay.
What if they created like a blockchain like a ride-sharing blockchain, right?
Right.
No one profits except the buyer and seller. Like, you just have to log into this thing. I don't know what a blockchain is. That's what I mean. I think it's stupid because I don't know at all what a blockchain is.
She's just saying a word.
But when I hear smart people on TV say blockchain, they're saying it like it's real secure and no one's making any money off it, right? Like it's somehow like computer smarted. That's a word.
But how would Uber make money off it then?
They wouldn't.
They would, yeah. Well, that's why they won't.
It would have to be a new Pied Pipery, like you know that guy that invented Bitcoin, that Ushi Musho.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not his name, but that.
Oh, Ushi. I know. I love Ushi.
Yeah,
Oosh.
but the Oosh. Yeah.
If you're listening, baby.
Yeah, the big Oosh out there. I don't know knows who this guy is, but he just started it, and he didn't gain anything from it. It was just put out there like a noble thing to change the world.
Can I ask you, as a banker, former banker,
yeah,
do you trust that stuff? Because I'm very scared about legal tender that we have now leaving us and everything being online. And that really worries me. And I like having cash on me. I like getting paid in cash, which nobody does in Canada anymore.
Yeah.
And it really... Wouldn't you say?
Well, this is what I think, okay? I think we've had a period of unprecedented... this is going to be... Anyways, this is a period of unprecedented prosperity that we've had. And during this time, we've had a policy where we can print more money and get ourselves out of trouble, you know? We'll just make more money, put it out there. And in the past... when you've printed money, you've given it to the banks, and the banks have given it to people who already have money.
Right.
And they give them more money, and they create this divide. And the idea was with all those old 80s conservatives is that's a trickle-down effect. It'll go to the poor people eventually.
Right.
And it proved never to, because those rich people are rich for a reason. That's why they have money. They keep it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So this time with the pandemic... the money actually got printed and given to the people that needed the money.
Right.
And so this money actually entered into the economy. It entered into the money supply. Where normally you could print money, give it to these people, and it just sat in assets or sat in wherever. But this is actually entering into the real world of people buying and selling stuff. And the prices... it stands to reason that the prices will go up on everything.
Right.
And that the dollar itself becomes devalued. That's just supply and demand. Like, it's supply and demand 101. The only reason it didn't happen before when they kept doing it was because they kind of kept it protected into these people who were just going to get more of it and hoard it wherever they were.
Right.
And
okay.
so now I think we do have a real chance of the whole shooting match breaking down, because I think it's the only inevitable end to it. It's basically a pyramid scheme, and it's eventually going to collapse, like the currency. I mean, so blockchain or Bitcoin is a finite thing. Like Bitcoin's kind of the same as gold or silver or something like that. There's only so much of it, and it's only going to be worth this. It was when the dollar was based on a gold standard. I'm so sorry that this is like, you asked me to spill out all this dumb banker knowledge, and I've just nerded out on it.
Blowing my mind. No, this is.
But it is like, I think yes that Bitcoin's a better. I don't own any, but I would definitely buy it.
You think it's a good investment?
I do.
Okay.
I think it's a long-term investment though. So if you bought it, you'd want to not look at it every day.
Be in a rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'll go crazy.
Right.
Because until it becomes like adapted by everybody, there's going to be this wild volatility. And if you're looking at it every day, you're going to be thinking, "Oh, I made a horrible move. I made a good move. I made a horrible move."
Do you think that physical cash will leave in our lifetime?
Physical, like paper money?
Like paper money.
I think it's pretty much every year becomes less and less, like
that's
a smaller percentage.
Yeah, that's what I worry about.
And I think that the difference between paper money and the numbers in a bank account are, there's no real difference. It's because they're both representatives of the same kind of thing, but they are the fact that you don't have paper money means that everything's a lot more traceable.
Well,
and what they don't like
not only
about
traceable, but also like chargeable. Because if I have $100 on me, it's $100.
Yeah.
Say the $100. As long as I have it on me, I haven't spent it. If I have $100 in the bank, it almost like, within a few days, it could be $88 because it's $12 for banking fees or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I worry about with like cash leaving us completely.
I think that's exactly right, because I don't see, when I was a kid, you put money in a bank account and then you get interest back and you make money. Now you
lose money.
You lose money by putting it in a bank account. And I used to argue with my bankers all the time if I paid even $1 in fees. I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And he would say, well, you got to have a minimum balance of this much. I'm like, fine, I'll save it until I get it, and I'm never paying you guys a penny again. Like, otherwise, why am I putting my money in a bank,
Yeah, why not just keep it in my house?
Yeah, I'll keep it in a shoebox under my mattress. It's just way better than that. Yeah. And I have thought about buying.
To keep its value.
Yeah. I want to get a safe with physical gold and silver in it. Physical gold, like gold bars.
Right.
For if this shit hits the fan, I got a gold bar for each of my kids.
Go back to the gold standard and
They said no matter what happens in the economy, if you have a bar of gold, like that should buy you a house.
That won't devalue.
Yeah, the gold won't devalue.
Okay.
The dollar will go to shit, but this gold will always be worth a house. You know what I mean? That's what they say. And like in the past, it would cost you I don't know if I could buy that means I would cost a fucking $1 million to buy a gold bar now, right? Because that's what it costs.
That's what a house is. That's like an average house.
So I think my theory is
scary in its own way.
Yeah, that's the crazy.
Gold bars.
But anyway, we got to get the show started.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait, there's one thing we do to start this show that hasn't changed, right? And that is that we play the goddamn theme song, Jason.
Nice.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, hot crowd. Thank you, everybody. Quit it. Hey, welcome to the Dutch Hall. I am your host, Pete Van Dyke. We're here on a Saturday. I believe it's Saturday, right? During the day.
Yeah, during the day, too.
Yeah, we blocked out the curtains. Nothing is less conducive to comedy than daylight.
Sure.
So we've broken all the rules, but I have in an old guest that hasn't been here for a while, but he's, like we said, been here through many renditions. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to have the show, Jason Allen. Wait, come on, guys. What's the matter? There you go. They're tired.
They're hungover from last night, so.
All right. And can you say 2 times when I say 2 times?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm the host of this show, and 2 times. President's Club Award winner, Pete Van Dyke. Hit it. Come on, guys. All right, that's all I deserve for that. So this is our show. There, he did it. Our show this week, we got to do some plugs. Jason, you have I'm very proud of you. This is you're just going around. You're doing the hustling.
Running around, yeah.
You've included my podcast in your marketing campaign to promote your new album, Known Alias.
That's right, yeah.
Your second album.
It's my first full album, but yeah, I have a half an hour out through Comedy Records as well. And this is all different material.
Is it really all different?
Oh, yeah,
From the other one was called Wood Chipper, right?
That's right, yeah.
I promoted that one too.
Yeah, and you did push that one too.
Yeah,
Wood Chipper through Comedy Records.
Yeah, so, but this one, Known Alias, this is the real deal.
It's the real deal. This is, I feel like, I've grown as a comic, so this one's even, I like it even more than the last one.
Yeah, I've watched you over the years develop and grow, and you started as a one-liner guy.
Yeah.
And then that's when I saw you at Tom Segura. You were a one-liner.
That's right. I was doing one-liners.
And I was really, that's what I said to you when I met you. I said, man, that's a lot of jokes. Like, to even to fill those minutes, like, you gotta be a good writer.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a lot of writing.
And that's what I give credit for those one-liner guys. Like, man, that's a lot of jokes.
Very prolific.
Yeah.
Those guys. Yeah.
They're fun to write, though, eh?
But they are fun to write, too. And your mind can almost wander more because you're like, I can just write a joke about a pencil. You can just be like more surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where now a lot of my jokes are around my life, which is nice, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there used to be a time where I could just like look at a sandwich and make fun of the ingredients, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different.
I always envy that when a person, like when I hear a joke and it's just a simple, like a simple phrase we use all the time, and someone breaks it down, and you're like, of course that joke was there all the time.
Right, it was just right under your nose. It was right there. Yeah.
Those ones always kind of seem like that to me. Like if you plugged in a picket fence, would it be an electric fence or something? Is that one?
Oh, no. One of my jokes was, I wonder if electric fences think of wooden fences as acoustic fences.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, acoustic fences. And how about every book is a coloring book?
Oh, every book's a coloring book if you hate librarians.
Yeah. See,
yeah.
Those are great jokes.
Those were old one-liners of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, those were like some of the early stuff, right?
That's right, very early on. I'm surprised you remember those. Once in a while, Katie will say, like, my wife will say, like, a very old joke of mine. And I'm like, it's funny that you remember that. I don't know, it fell out of my head a while ago.
Yeah, they all came back to me because one time we were doing a show on St. Patrick's Day at Bramsterdam.
Yes.
And I think I had the Nocturnal Emissions there. And St. Patrick's Day is notoriously the worst day for comedy because everyone wants to get boozed.
Right, and we were at a pot lounge.
And we're at a pot lounge doing comedy. So all the things people don't want to do on St. Patrick's Day, so the crowd was thin. It was mostly comedians.
Yes.
Which makes it fun. And that night it was fun. Normally it's not fun when it's all comedians because it's like sad that no one showed up. But this is an acceptable kind of like comics day to perform for each other kind of.
That's right, yeah.
And we had a banjo. And you borrowed the banjo.
That's right. And I borrowed the banjo, and I played the banjo, and I just said one-liners over top of it.
Yeah, very Steve Martin-esque.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
And that's where all those old jokes came back. I'm like, oh yeah, these are the ones.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
I've never recorded those either, and once in a while, I think it'd be nice to get enough of them to just record it, and then they're out, and then I'm done with them forever.
Yeah.
But it's hard because it's like
so many.
It's so much writing. It's just so much. Not that I don't write a lot now, of course.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that through your career you should just like put them, like as you write them, like as they come to your head, just put them in the pile of one-liner jokes, and then let them collect over the years.
Yeah, and then eventually I can go do something with them.
Yeah. Because that would be a cool, like even just if you just wrote a whole bunch of knock jokes, and then just same thing, just put them in, and then did a knock joke special.
That's hilarious.
It would be like something that, it would stand out.
And it would just be so different.
Yeah. That's what I kind of think about a lot because there's so many comedians, and how do you stand out from everyone else? Like, how do you make yourself known, right? And if you play with format too much, you run the risk of being a hack, you know?
Right.
Or you could be a genius.
Yeah, it's like a fine line, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want too many styles, or do you want to grow in your one style? Because that's what a lot of great comedians do, is they just grow in their one style.
Yeah.
You don't see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Chappelle's not releasing a one-liner.
Yeah.
You know, album and then doing a story album. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, even Gilbert Godfrey released the Street Jokes album, like the Dirty Jokes one, but which was different than his because there was somebody else's jokes. But he didn't really do it. He was a club comic. Like, he didn't want an album. You know what I mean?
No, I don't feel like he recorded a bunch.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And just that one. And it was just kind of like, here, I'll do this because I don't want to give any of my real jokes away. I want to tour them in the club and get
Right.
paid.
So it's like I'll do my own spin on these classic jokes,
Then I'm not burning any of
and
mine.
I'm not burning any of my material.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, my favorite comics that have that philosophy.
There's old school comics they don't do, like Jay Leno doesn't record.
Never has. And Dave Attell's only got Skanks, and then he did Roadwork and stuff, but...
Oh, Skanks are the members? And yeah, like Roadwork is like, it's like a crowd work album, so it's kind of like, again, you're safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're not burning your stuff.
Not burning your stuff.
And Norm Macdonald did it through Gritted Teeth, just so he could get the sports show. He did a comedy album, but he didn't even...
Wait, and then he did Hitler's Dog, too, right?
Well, that was the one. There was one Norm Macdonald tells jokes, right? Or Norm Macdonald does stand-up, and then there's Hitler's Dog.
And then there's Hitler's Dog. But still, for such a long career and only 2 specials.
Yeah, and I think both of them he didn't really want to do. He was kind of like, it was to get something else.
Right, it opens up doors.
Yeah, so he's like, I'll go do this stuff. But because he just liked having, like, hours and hours of tools in his toolbox.
That's right. Just pull it out anytime you want and not be afraid
to
use it. Right.
Seinfeld, too, has that philosophy. And then there's the Louis C.K.'s and the George Carlins and the Chris Rocks, who are these prolific every regular
couple years.
Yeah.
It's have a Bill Burr's in that category now, Segura. You know what I mean? These guys are now, you see it more and more now.
Yeah, exactly. And those guys, I still like watching, like most of those guys, you'll see they'll add like one aspect to their performance each special.
Right.
Like they don't do like what we were talking about, like it's a whole different genre, but they'll like do more act outs or do more physical stuff, or
again, it's just like that growth over time, right?
Yeah. We've done it not long enough now that there's been like a lot of light bulb moments. You know how you know how when you start out and the guys, the older guys will say, like, you got to put in the time. There's no other way to learn it. You just got to put in the time.
Right.
Like I can teach you, but it's not going to mean anything. And then you do it the time, and then you're like, oh, there it is. You know.
Yeah. You don't even realize like when that thing clicks, but suddenly you're doing it, and if you really think back, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't have the confidence to do this before. I didn't have the skill to do it.
Yeah.
This way before. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, you could have told me to do it then, but I wouldn't have done it right.
I wouldn't have done it right. That's it. I would have messed it up anyways. So, yeah. A lot of it is just time in. And new comics hate hearing that.
Yeah.
Because they'll ask me, and I go like, write all the time, lots of shows, just keep at it.
Mm.
And they keep looking at me like there's like some secret. I'm like, but there really isn't. It's just time in.
Yeah, I can't agree more. The Doug Koning had one of those light bulb moments where he's like, I figured it out, right?
Right.
And his thing he figured out was right.
Yeah. It's just like you have to be disciplined. You have to, right. Yeah.
And then he's like, it works. I want to tell you one thing that I learned. I was seeing a therapist, right?
Right.
Because I'm crazy. And then, but it's really good to see a therapist. Anyway, so then he tells me, use your art. He called it an art.
Right. Well, that's nice of him.
Yeah, it is. It's the only art where if you show proficiency in it in school, they throw you out of the school.
It's true. You get kicked out of class for performing your art.
Your art. So he tells me to channel my negative, my anger and my problems and everything into my art, right?
Right.
So I write all my sad feelings, you know, I'll just I'll write down problems I had when I was a kid, you know. Let's say my dad called me a name, you know,
right,
and I'll just be like, "Wow, my dad called me a name. I'm so sad. I feel like I'm not that happy." It's just not funny. It's just all a bunch of whining bullshit.
It's just the feeling words. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting it all out on the page.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I just keep doing it, to whatever's coming in my head, just puking it out. And then all of a sudden, pops up. I didn't even know that word meant gay. I thought it was just something your dad called you to stop you from crying. Like that popped out on the page.
It just like happens.
Yeah. And then I was like, I love that. That's a joke, that's a real joke. I think it'll work,
Right.
And then I liked it so much that I felt like guilty that I stole it, that I heard this before and that it's somebody else's joke.
Because sometimes it just flows out of you and you're like, was that in there from somebody else?
Yes.
Or is this actually me?
Yeah.
And that's the fear sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
it's always the good ones, right? You Google it?
Oh, yeah. I look it up. Because if it slides out too easily, I'm like, was it me or was it in there from something I watched maybe years ago? And you gotta be careful, right?
Totally, man. It fucking it's like the worst fear, that you're up there and everyone's going, that's Bill Burr.
Sure.
And you're like, fuck, I'm a fraud.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't ever want that to happen. So like, but it's always when you write a good one, you're like, that's too easy. And then you're waiting. I'm waiting always to get someone to pull me aside. That's my joke, dickhead. But I haven't heard it yet. It still works.
Which is the best.
Yeah.
When you find out, no, you are in the clear, and it's not clearly yours, then you're so happy.
Oh, yeah. But what I was saying was, that worked. What that therapist said. I wrote it on the page. A joke came out of it, and then I didn't care about the wah stuff anymore. It was like
you were happy that you got
currency out of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I got an asset now, like out of that
and
misery.
once you have something good out of it, you forget the bad memory of it.
Yeah.
There's so many jokes that I tell on stage where it's like in the moment that it was actually happening, I was furious.
Yeah.
But now that I found a way to make it funny. Yeah. It's great. The whole thing is great. You know what I mean? Like the joke about the guy like yelling at me to learn how to fucking drive out of the back of a cab while I was learning how to drive. I was so pissed off in the moment, and then it hit me later, and I was like, "This is funny. You just gotta make it funny." And now it's almost like a positive memory that guy yelled at me now.
Yeah,
because I have a joke that worked out of it.
Yeah.
So,
I find that even before I started comedy, I've always been like, when I travel, I take risks.
Right.
Like I like to make the best of, like if I'm somewhere I want to do, like
you want to be like where the actual people are. You don't just want to stay like hiding in a resort or in your room, or like you want to be like, where do the locals go?
Yeah,
not
I like
the tourists. I want to go where the locals go.
Yeah, I like taking risks like that, and I like also like I'll do adventurous or like things like outdoorsy type things.
Yes,
that'll also get me sometimes into trouble. So both of those, I've been in like really bad parts of like towns I shouldn't be in.
Right,
and I've also been. But like the point of the matter is, at the time, it's horrible. It's kind of horrifying. You're terrified.
Yeah,
and you're like not enjoying yourself at all. But as soon as it's over and you're safe, like,
you have the story, and it's cool.
Yes,
and you just always look at it with a fond memory.
Yeah. That I did that thing. Like I saw the thing I didn't want to see, or whatever it was. I like being in those like situations where you're uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's where I think that growth comes from. And no matter what your like interests are in life, like if you're in that if you have that feeling of uncomfortability, that's when you're doing something good.
Yeah.
Like the times where I've really freaked out about like spending too much money on something like a house or something like that, and you're like, was that the right move?
Right.
Those type of that's always when the best stuff happens. You kind of like when you take away your net and you got no choice but to do it.
Yeah, and you just got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that too?
I do, and Katie and I are kind of like going through that right now because like we've been putting money into this trip for the UK.
Yeah.
And then that money's going to be gone, and then we're going to have to build up our savings again. But it's kind of exciting to like, that I'll come back and be hustling for gigs over the summer. And trying to build that up, and that excitement of like almost like not having the safety net for a minute.
Yeah.
And also I'm excited about the trip to the UK, of course, too, and like doing all that stuff. So.
Yeah, you're going to like it. I haven't been there in a long time, but I went to school there, eh?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went one semester to London School of Economics.
Oh,
so
nice.
I lived there in Camden Town in London.
Okay.
Yeah, which used to be a shithole. But I understand it's gentrified now.
Yeah, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
It's like Detroit. If you go to Detroit now, there's all these like hip spots.
Pretty nice.
They're pretty nice, actually. Yeah.
I know. I kind of like Detroit a lot.
I like Detroit too. Detroit's fun.
Yeah.
But I always like Detroit, even when Detroit was shitty. You know what? You know what? People from Detroit love Detroit. There's a lot of like hometown pride. So I always had a lot of respect for Detroit, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Because they like it. So who cares?
Yeah,
we'll be the butt of your fucking joke. We don't care. People are still going to Lions games. They stink. They've stunk their whole existence. They've been a bad team.
Yeah,
Nobody cares. Detroit loves Detroit.
Yeah, they do. And I think that when I was a kid, I didn't like Detroit because the only thing I saw of it was when you cross the border.
Right.
And then we drove through Detroit to get out of there. And then, so all I saw was like the couple of guys begging for change.
Sure.
As soon as you cross the border.
Yeah.
And then my dad's like, lock the doors. And then we go through. And so I had that image as a kid that was Detroit. And then I went to a show down.
You go to shows there, and there's so many cool bands that have come out of like the Detroit or just Michigan area, like Iggy Pop, Michigan guy,
Jack White,
Ted Nugent,
Kid Rock.
Well, now you've ruined it.
Well, Motown was all there.
Motown was all there. Have you ever heard of Death? They were like the first like black punk band.
No, I didn't know them.
They're from Detroit. Yeah, like a lot of cool things. So
and now it's really cool. Now it's really cool. But down by Comerica Park is wicked, and then there's a whole bunch of new restaurants and stuff. Like all the young people have really reclaimed it.
And that's it. Like as much as like people always want to bash hipsters and stuff, hipsters come in and they buy something cheap and they make it cool, and then then your city's thriving again. Like artists save cities all the time.
Yeah,
kind of happened to Hamilton too, really. So,
really. Even
James Street and Ottawa Street and stuff like that, Locke Street.
Yeah.
Those were all artists that kind of came in and were like, we're going to sell gourmet donuts and you can go fuck yourself. Like, Hamilton's going to thrive again, and it kind of has. So.
I really hope that's the future, man. I really hope that we get away from the, I really hope that people eventually realize that these big corporations don't give a fuck.
And these box stores and these you don't need a Tim Hortons on every block or a McDonald's on every block, and like let's have some weird stuff in here instead.
The same people who are afraid of like artificial intelligence, of like robots taking over the world, are the same ones that like line up at box stores for every fucking thing they do. Yeah. And those box stores are just the same as those robots. They're a legal entity, right?
Yes.
Like a robot's a physical entity, but a corporation is a legal entity, and they have one singular purpose. They're programmed like a robot to only make money more every quarter than they made before.
Yeah, it's not humanized at all. It's not like that at all. It's all about just like profit margins and looking at that and looking at you as a number and a consumer.
Yeah.
That's all they think about.
They want to make money for these shareholders who are invisible, who just want more money.
Yeah.
But the real people, like the ones that buy their product or the ones that work for them, they're the ones that they'll have to do more for less to make them their more money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's stupid.
That's the difference, right? Is like when you go to somewhere like in Hamilton, like the Burnt Tongue, you see the owner there. It's not some man on a mountain that you're never gonna see. You're just throwing gold up to this to the CEO of McDonald's or Wendy's or like whatever else.
This dude cares because
you actually see this dude and he's here and he's like serving you, and maybe he's nice, maybe he remembers your name, or just even if not, you see him. He's there. He's a person in your city. Yeah, that's actually exciting.
I like that too. And then you actually get a sense of community again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope that's where the pendulum swings, is that we get away from this like mass collective.
Yeah. It's so hard because like you saw so many of these men and women kind of lose their businesses over this pandemic. So I'm really hoping that like shit comes back or new businesses get bought anyways, and people are like, it's really sad when you see that like businesses is closed and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it's not a Walmart that's closing.
No.
It's like it's real people losing their livelihood.
Yeah. The ones that are trying to like do it because they care. Like I always think there was this old case study about Dell computers. You know Dell computers.
Yeah.
And Dell, they were a publicly traded company, and they wanted to restructure because they knew that laptops weren't the future. You know, we have to maybe do something new or something. You know, so Dell's like, okay, we need to like restructure, so we're gonna lose money for a couple of years, and then we'll be able to make money forever instead of like trying to make money every quarter till we go broke. And so they're of course they weren't allowed to do that because you're never allowed to lose money. So they had to delist. They had to like buy all their shares back so they could get off of the stock market. So so they could do the right thing for their company, just so they could stay alive. You know, because otherwise their whole mandate would eventually like bankrupt them. You know,
Right.
like the system doesn't even help them. Like and they're the. It doesn't like to me. I don't even understand it. It's just douchebags. I watch that shit on TV because I still have the knowledge of it. Like I'll watch the Bloomberg and stuff,
Right.
and I'll see the stocks going and know what corn's trading at and stuff, and I'll be like getting angry at the TV,
Right.
You know, but because it's like I don't see how they can't see through it. How it's just the same emotional greed all the time.
Yeah.
That drives the system. There's no tangible anything. Like if I go in a restaurant and the guy who owns it comes out, and I know that guy has to what he's got to do to make this all happen.
Right.
You know, like it makes sense to me. But the way that it's done by these other people, there's no who's benefiting. You know, they're not doing it for me. They're not doing it for. You know, I don't know who they're doing it for. So I don't want to. I hope they all die a horrible death. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I'm with you on that.
My therapist would also say I should write that on a piece of paper and not talk about it with regular people.
Oh, that's something you just like let out of your. I feel like no, I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like you know, like family trauma or issues or like personal rage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to get it on paper first rather than just bring that on. You know, people.
But societal, he's talking
about.
But
I think, like, societal issues, no, I think that humans should be speaking to each other about that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if he was
I like hearing that other people don't trust corporations, because then I know where I stand with them.
Yeah.
I know you're not a lizard person now.
Right.
And I trust you. You know what I mean? Because you're not like, well, it's just a good business move. I'm like,
no.
You're a scumbag. You know what I mean? But no, you're not like that at all. We're kind of like, we're in the same belief systems. And it's good to know if people like line up with you morally.
Well, that's what I would think. I always have this piece of advice. If you're going to go, no matter where you do business, you want to get a person that, like, if you have to like go to a bank and you want a bank manager, you got to get a bank manager that hates his job, you know?
Right.
Because they're going to work for you, not the bank.
Yeah. They're like, fuck the bank, but hey, you're okay. I'm not going to take
fuck
this
these guys.
on you.
You know how much money these guys are making? You should pay less. If you came to me as a banker and I hate my job, and you're like, I think I'm paying too much interest. I'd be like, yeah, I do too. These fuckers are making way too much money.
Yeah, these guys are assholes.
Yeah.
Let's help you. Yeah.
Whereas if the guy loves his job, and
company man is scary. A company man's never going to help you. They're about the company.
That's right, and they'll justify. They believe it.
Oh, they totally. But they're brainwashed. It's a whole. You can't get through to them. You can't.
Yeah, you can at all.
The corporation already got their hooks in. So
yeah. So can you imagine being one of those people like you, like me, who feel this way, and then having to go live in the belly of the beast for like 15 years doing that shit?
Oh yeah, it's awful.
It's gonna eat you alive.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's a real it took its toll on my health. It took its I was 20 pounds heavier than I should have been. I was like just aching and pain all the time. I was like puffed up, my face all puffed up.
Right.
You know, like you just look. I was all stress, and then I quit, and then it was all gone.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. But that's like,
You know you're wrong. You know it's wrong for you if you're doing that.
and that's like, oh, that's the proof right there. Is
Yeah.
the proof is that you're just living a much healthier life now, and you just seem like a healthier person
By not doing it.
because you got out of a toxic situation, right?
Yeah.
So
Where there's people all around me, they loved it. They actually enjoyed it.
yeah. It's just, I guess it's different personalities or whatever. But
What's the longest job you've had?
oh, like definitely like in social work, social service work. I worked at the detox center for a very long time.
And then, so you would have had to deal with like office politics and all that shit.
A little bit for sure. Yeah. Some of that shit. I don't remember it ever getting too toxic there. I think my worst work environment was probably at Crash Beds. It was an emergency homeless shelter,
Oh yeah.
which is now closed. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that it's just like, it was people that had been kicked out of every other shelter or like had like, for whatever reason, or maybe had bans and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So you were essentially dealing with the worst of the worst. So it was a lot of like
Conflict every day.
conflict constantly. It's just everybody was mad at you at one point
Yeah.
or another. I'd literally have to like deal with like physical attacks sometimes. It was just a lot of negativity. It was overnight, so you're just stressed out because you're fucking with your sleep schedule too.
Yeah.
I shared a very small office with 3 other people. The whole thing wasn't conducive for your mental health at all. It was very taxing. Where at least at like the withdrawal management center, there's like,
You can see the benefit.
and there's a sense of hope there. Like people are coming in to get clean off drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And even if some of them you can tell aren't as serious as others or whatever else, at least while they're in there, they'll usually give you the idea that like, oh no, I'm really trying this time.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But either way, you're in a place where you're doing something good for yourself in this moment.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're off it in this moment. Where at Crash Beds, guys are coming in high out of their fucking minds. There's no
one wants to be there.
nobody's looking to change. There's no we're here to sleep and eat and then we're leaving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like before, you could put up with a lot of things in your job that perhaps yeah. That was the same with me when I worked for Farm Credit. That was the place I worked the longest, and that place they weren't mandated to make money. They were mandated to help farmers.
Right.
So I lent money to people who needed it, and I felt like they couldn't get it.
Yeah, you
elsewhere.
feel like you're actually making a difference.
Yeah, that's how I could justify doing that job I hated for so long. It was because in my head I was doing it, and I really believed I was like when I was with a customer, I would fight my employer to do what's right for them.
Right.
And then I tried that when I worked at the banks, the real banks, and they hated it. They don't like that. They want you to fight your customer for the bank. They want you always to defend them. And I'm like, whereas at FCC, they would say to me like they would appreciate that I was doing what's best for the customer.
Going the extra mile for the actual customer.
Yeah. So like that was my main thing that differentiated me, that made me successful, was that I actually cared about people.
Right.
And then so like when I went to the bank, it like why would I stay there? They're not. You let me do the thing I'm good at.
Right.
You know. So then I only lasted 2 months at the one, and then 4 days at the other one.
That's when you know you're done. If you can't even make it a week at the job, you just know.
Yeah, 4 days.
It's time to move on.
He was really, really surprised when I quit.
Yeah.
He stuck his neck out for me. This poor guy.
Man.
He was like he was real schmarmy looking, like real fancy, you know.
Okay.
You know, and he was younger than me, and he was like the one he like tried to court me for years, like wooing
Get you
me
over there, right?
Yeah, to get me over there. And then so finally it worked out. I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. but I didn't sit right with me to work for someone younger than me. Like, it really didn't.
Okay.
Like, I was a bit prideful then. And then, because, like, how'd this guy get a better job than me? Like, who's he think he is?
Right.
So then, so there was a bit of that. But plus, he would bring me to places when he was courting me that he obviously didn't know me. Like, he would bring me to the golf and country club, to the...
These fancy places that aren't you at all.
No.
Right.
And so I'd be sitting there, like, and he goes, I have a membership here. Most of the people, another guy that's getting your job, he's got a membership
And
here.
you're just hating it.
I'm like, ah.
You're not impressed at all.
Yeah. And then, but he really wanted me so that he, like, they gave me a signing bonus, like a hockey player. And then they gave me...
Great. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
When you quit after 4 days, do you have to give this signing? Okay.
$14,000 I had to pay him back.
Hilarious.
I shouldn't say that on here, but...
Did you spend any of it, or
No.
was it easy? Yeah,
It's only
4
been
days,
there for
right?
4 days,
So,
yeah.
you're like, it was easy to just give it back.
Yeah.
I'm so done with money, I would have spent half of it and been like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, no, I was good with money, lucky, because, like, I knew that I was on shaky ground when I took the job.
Sure.
So, like, I was...
You just knew how you were already feeling about stuff. Yeah.
So I was like, there's a good chance I'm going to have to pay this back. So I didn't touch it.
Right.
And, they asked for it back immediately.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. 14 grand?
Yeah, and then the guy actually, because I said I don't want to go work for you right away, I got some other stuff to do for my own personal stuff.
Right.
Which is also a thing that you don't want when you're hiring somebody, for him to care more about his own
personal life. Yeah.
Because I got if you have your own personal business ventures, then why do you need the job, right?
Yeah.
And which is what it found out to be true. So then I said, I said, I'm not going to work for you for 3 months. And so he goes, I got to do this other thing first. And then, so he had to work my desk. So he was like doing his manager job and working my accounts that I was going to get when I got there for like 3 months. And then I was there 4 days and then quit on him. His face dropped. Like he was in a shock. He had no color in his face, you know?
No.
He's just sitting there like...
Do you talk to this guy anymore, or do you just you don't communicate with anybody in the banking world anymore?
I don't anymore. That's true. But except for if they listen to the show.
Sure.
But I was on a train going to Toronto. Like I was just getting on the train at Aldershot.
Right.
And he was getting off the train.
And you saw him for a second?
Yeah, we passed each other, and he was like Pete, and then you could tell he had like a lot of questions, you know?
Right.
Because when he
especially if he hadn't seen you in so long, or like...
Yeah, he's like, what happened? What'd you do? Because he asked me that even when I quit. What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything? You know,
that doesn't... Don't worry about that. I'm a grown man. I'll figure that out myself.
Yeah. He says to me, you got to call Frank. And I'm like, who's fucking Frank? Who's Frank? You know? He was like all upset that I didn't know who Frank was, you know?
Oh, no.
And then I go, well, Frank's the guy who got me the budget so I could even hire you. He's the one that stuck his neck out for you to get you this job. You got to talk to...
really what he's saying is like, I don't want to go back to that guy and tell him what you did.
Yeah.
You fucking go face this guy and tell him.
Yeah. So I did. Frank was like my boss's boss.
Yeah.
Like that was where it was, right? So I'm on, but I don't give a fuck about him. I just quit.
Sure, you're leaving. They
Right.
can't make you stay. So talk to whoever you want.
So I was like, ring up Frank. I'm going to talk to Frank.
Put him on the phone, yeah.
So I talked to Frank, and I'm like, hey, Frank, I quit my job. I was doing this job renovating a building I bought, and I lost all this weight. I don't have any pain. I feel great. I'm getting boners when I wake up in the morning. Like I didn't.
You feel,
I'm just telling him.
Refresh,
I told him all that stuff, even about the boners. Like I get boners when I wake up in the morning again. Like I know that this is wrong for me. This type of work.
Yeah.
So the guy Frank says to me, "Well, it sounds like you got it all figured out. I look forward to working with you on the other side of the desk someday." And like that guy gets it.
Sure.
This guy's wrong. Like I'm wrong for him. Like, he shouldn't want to hire me.
No, that's it. He just knows. He goes, well, yeah, we're different people. You just know to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the other side of the desk type of guy, which means, like, you should be working for yourself, not for somebody else.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you don't have the temperament to be one of us.
So, the young guy, your boss,
Yeah.
When you ran into him at Aldershot, did you talk to him for a second, or did you just have
I
to
just
hop on the
smiled. I
train?
just smiled and waved at him.
Okay.
Because I was so happy that he didn't get any information. Like, but you could. He was like, "What?" And he was
You
kind of
could
caught up in the
kinda
crowd.
tell he was like, and then that's it, and you're
Yeah.
kind of being pulled away.
But I have no ambition to ever see the guy again. I would hope I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because I don't. Actually, I've been writing a script about this stuff.
Okay.
And I say in it that I should feel bad for what I did to him, but I don't. I feel great about it.
It was just so good for you that you can't feel bad.
Yeah.
There, like when I walked out of Crash Beds, there was I was one of the more veteran staff there.
Oh yeah.
And maybe for a second I felt bad for some of the newer staff that wasn't going to have me there anymore, because they always asked me for that was the other thing, is that I was a team lead for a bit and I got paid more money, and there's always funding cutbacks in social work, so that got taken away, and I was like, oh, actually thank God, because I don't want to be in charge of anything. I didn't even mind that I was my pay was going down a little bit. The problem is they're used to asking you everything, so they never stopped. I was still always was made to feel like I was in charge around there, even when I didn't want to be, even when that position didn't exist anymore. So maybe for a split second I was like, well, they're not going to have somebody to ask everything for, and I was like, you know what? They're adults and they can figure it out. It's not my problem anymore, and I was so glad to just put it out of my head.
Dude, I tell you, I would sit up wake up, I'd be up at night worrying about other people's money problems.
Yeah.
And they're sleeping like babies. You know, they have, it doesn't cross their mind.
No.
And I'm like, I'm taking everyone's problems home with me.
That's what happens when you're carrying too much of everybody else.
Yeah.
And that can happen in different walks of life too. That can happen in comedy, where it's I used to go to shows with guys and then they'd be late, or I'm trying to get them this thing and then they're messing it up, and after a while you go okay, you just kind of know who you can help and who you can't help.
Yeah, who
you
count on.
I just can't be involved with people who are going to make me late to shows, or going to you know what I mean, or just phoning in on stage. I just need to know who to surround myself with.
Yeah, that's true. One thing you've done that I really admire, but I also am I admire it because I can't do it, because I don't have it in me and I don't know how to get it. But it's there seemed to be a time where I watched you in your career where you understood your value.
Right.
And you started making more demands. You know, you started kind of asking for things rather than just taking what was given to you, you know?
Yeah.
Was that a conscious effort?
Yeah, it was probably a fed up thing, and just knowing that for one, nobody thinks about you. So if you don't ask, nobody's he probably needs more money.
Yeah.
Or he probably needs to go on by this time. Nobody thinks about you. Nobody cares.
Right.
So you have to ask for yourself. You have to fight for yourself. And the thing is, there's a few agents in this country, a few, for comedy, and they're all overworked. I have an agent now. I still have to ask for stuff for myself all the time. You know what I mean? You just kind of understand that you have to do that. And one thing that I heard a pro comic who's been doing it way longer than me say, Don Perret, was there's actually a power in the word no.
Yeah.
So after a while you go no, I'm not going to Barrie and driving 4 hours in a day for $100.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I'm not. And then you either find another gig around you that pays that and you're not spending as much in gas, or they go, okay, you're worth it to us to give you more than $100. But either way, you can do some work and figure out how to make up for that loss.
It doesn't always have to be you taking the loss.
No.
Yeah.
No. Exactly.
I guess I have done a bit of it, because when you're young, I just want stage time. I know I say,
and that will change too, right? Is that when I was new, I would use my vacation time. I would go to a backpackers hostel in Toronto, and then I would lose money paying for subways and eating out and doing these open mics and getting put up super late.
Yeah.
You know, and then...
But you do it because you don't
you
feel you have options, and
well,
you really don't.
You really don't have options.
Yeah.
And also you just want to get better. So, and I still want to get better. You always should be trying to get better. And I still do shitty open mics and stuff like that at times. But I feel like
It has to be purposeful.
It has to be purposeful. And I'm in a place now where I just won't tolerate disrespect. If I find a host is like putting me on way too late or just being dismissive of me, I go, okay, I'll find something else that's a better fit for me because I don't need to be around this.
Yeah, you know what? I went and did Sudbury, and there was a bunch of comics that just finished another show across town, and they came in to see if they could get a guest spot or whatever.
Right.
On the show that I was doing, and the guy that was hosting and booking the show said, "Hey, these guys are going to go on. We'll just let you we'll continue the show like it is. You headline, but then we'll bring them on after you." And then I'm like, "But I'm the headliner, and like you advertised around me, and like that doesn't seem right."
Right.
Like so, I said, "No, let me go on last. They go on before me. Mistake, horrible mistake." It was the worst mistake I could have ever made. Like he was right. It was his room. He knew it. The crowd was going to be too drunk to care about these guys. So it's actually a bad spot for them. You don't really want this headliner. He was trying to help me out, but I was in my inexperience and also just unawareness of the situation.
Yeah.
Just like I'm the guy that's on the poster. I got to go on last.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, it's right. He was right. I'd rather protect my set than my title of the headliner. So yeah, I would have totally just let those guys go on after me.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. There is like an aspect of like, well, the headliner goes last, and I understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's even gross, but sometimes you'll see hosts do time after the headliner. You're like, what the fuck you doing?
Yeah, that bugs me. Yeah.
But the bottom line, usually the host doesn't do well after the headliner. They're like usually a host that is doing that has done bad all night and is thinking that they'll save it at the end, and they still don't.
Yeah, they never do.
Unless the headliner does terrible, and for some reason the host is like, well, I'm going to leave them on a laugh.
Yeah.
But I've honestly never seen that. I've only seen the other way. Yeah. And you're right. These locals after, they would have ate shit, but instead they probably ate shit before you, and then the audience was burnt out, and then you can't. Yeah. So
they did okay, but
that's like a learning experience too, right? That's just like something that like
that was one of those things about like playing poker where you just got to see as many hands as you can see. It was that I had never seen that hand before, you know.
Yes, and that's it.
And I made the wrong.
That is very rare. You like that's a small town.
Yeah.
Comedy thing that these comics were excited, like, oh my God, we could get 2 sets in one night in Sudbury. This never happens.
Yeah.
And and you just weren't aware of this situation, and you're not from that scene.
Yeah, and I thought, well, the room's full, everyone's having a good time, you know, but I didn't I'm projecting.
This won't end, but people don't realize like comedy. There's a time limit now.
Yeah, it's true.
Because sometimes because you'll have to say that sometimes to people that are like, maybe producing shows or booking shows, and they're not in comedy.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we'll do a 2-hour show. We'll do a 2.5. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
We'll never have these people here again
if
we don't do 90 minutes.
Yeah, 90 minutes is max.
That's like the max. Sweet. And sometimes it should even be less. Like at bar shows, we can go an hour. We'll be fine. It's a bar.
Yeah,
if it's a bar show where people aren't paying and you might be fighting with some regulars, do an hour.
Yeah. I agree. Hour 15, hour 20 is like almost perfect, I think, because you just have a bit more than an hour. 90 minutes is what I like as a consumer.
For sure. And it depends where you're at, right? Because sometimes 90 minutes can be like a really good show, but again, it depends where you are. Like, because there's some rooms that's just not designed for. There's some rooms that just aren't designed for comedy at all. Like we're talking about, like the power of saying no.
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, I just said take my name off the list, and I left Lion's Head because I realized I was like, they're so mean there. They're so rude. Like the bar owner, like will joke about how he hates comedy being there.
Yeah.
The regulars joke about how they hate comedy being there, but it's not really a joke. They really do hate comedy being there, and I'm like. Well, I'm 9 years in. I don't need to perform somewhere where I'm clearly not wanted.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anything new I try is going to do anything there because they're clearly stating that they hate comedy and hate that it's happening here. And I go like, I'll just find a different mic on a Monday. I'd rather drive an hour and a half to London.
Yeah.
Every Monday.
They won't put you on. You better sign up online first.
You got to get there quick. Yeah, they're worried about that. But
No, they will put you on. I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying that, like, I'd rather scramble and find different Monday open mics.
Yeah.
Than do the local mic where I'm like, I'm going to get nothing from this show. I'm going to doubt the new jokes I have, and I'm going to leave being mad about comedy.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me to do that.
That is true, dude. Because like, there's a couple things there. Like one time I was doing this whole death thing, trying to put a submission together for Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And I was writing a lot, and I had some jokes that were getting better. And then we did this one gig at Austin Beer Hall. And,
yeah.
And the sound was weird. So you couldn't hear the response of the audience at all. And so you felt like you were bombing, but like if you were in the audience, you could hear the audience. Like, so I didn't know this, but I asked one of the comics that went on before me, Jen Reeves.
Right.
And I'm like, Jen, I heard your act. You did fine. I know those jokes, they work, like, how did you feel you did? She goes, I cried in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, I told you didn't bomb. Like it must have been a sound thing.
It's the sound. You just can't hear them. You couldn't hear the laughs coming back at you, pretty much?
Yeah, you couldn't. It was all muffled. You could barely hear yourself, and then the sound back, I don't know what was happening, but it was hard to hear. I think it's because they were doing it into the curtain or something, and it must have been sucking it up, but because I did it once where you did it at the front, and it didn't have that same problem.
I find that they can be very nice at Austin, but it is a weird layout. You know what I mean? The good thing about that show is if you're running around and you book it right, you can get 2 in one night in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And neither one of those shows are like awful shows. Sometimes they're not like the best, but I've never been like, God, it's so depressing here. You know, at Austin or at Emerson.
Yeah.
So it's good that way. That's a real shame to hear that that Jen was like bummed out.
And then I felt horrible. Like I felt like there was a real bad bomb with the same material I thought I was gaining momentum on, and I lost all confidence in all of it. I felt like such a hack after that, and I never went back to it. And actually, I still feel that way. I still feel like the whole thing was super hack.
I think you should, as a challenge to yourself, then you should find a room that has like a normal human sound system that humans would like to listen to. And try those jokes again, and that'd be a good challenge for yourself. Because that used to happen to me when I was hosting Poacher's Arms the mic. By the end, it was all regulars, and I was hosting. They were just too used to me. So I was doing jokes that I believed in that are bombing. And then this is around the time I was moving to Hamilton, and I moved to Hamilton. And then I was like, no, fuck it. I'm going to try those jokes again. And they started working all the time. And some of those jokes are literally on my first album. Jokes that were bombing in London because they just got too used to me being the host there. And I was going to give up on those jokes. And thank God I went to another city and tried those jokes because those jokes ended up making like the cut of the album. And sometimes if I'm doing a very long set, like when I was in Alberta a couple of weeks ago, I would go around and there'd be an opener who was like the host and opener. She would do a half an hour, and I had to do an hour at some of the shows. And so some of the shows I would do stuff from that old album that, again, like I said, wasn't working at the Poacher's Arms. And I do them now, and they're still working.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just saying, don't always let... I was talking to Gavin Stevens about this once.
Yeah.
And he was like, you get to a point in comedy where you realize the rule of 3 is bullshit. And I don't mean like 3 jokes or like a joke and 2 tags. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to have this rule where I was like, if it doesn't work 3 times, I'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
It cannot work 100 times. I'll keep working on it until I can make. If I really believe in it,
Yeah.
I'll keep working on it till I make it good.
Yeah.
The stuff about my mom being married 6 times, that bombed all the time.
Yeah.
That bombed for like a year.
Yeah.
Before I figured out how to make it good and to show people, no, I don't hate my mom. I'm just, it was a weird life experience for me too.
Yeah.
And you figured out how to make it funny, and that's on like my most recent album.
Yeah. Oh, I just finished a big gay chunk that was hard. You know, it was hard.
It's hard to like get through it and make it good.
Yeah, and it was hard because people when you get a word wrong, they really don't like it, and so it's very sensitive material.
Yeah,
and even though there's no even chance of me like saying anything negative. I've got it framed.
Yeah, you're on the right side of the argument.
Yeah, and so but just the fact that you're talking about sensitive subject matter, if you don't hit all the if you don't hit all the beats right, you're gonna pay for it. But if you can walk through those raindrops and hit them all right, it
will get like a huge pop. You'll be
it's awesome.
King. Yeah, for sure.
So the work that I've had to do on that, and I'm doing a one on the word retarded.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's very hard.
Oh, for sure. That would be very difficult to navigate. Yeah.
That one, I really like the punchline. So, like, I just get excited about the punchline.
Right.
But I think the punchline's, I like the punchline, but then the setups, I've tried so many different ones to get to that, then they've failed so hard.
Right.
But I like it because I know, like, I see how far that gay chunk has come. By taking the punches on it, and I know I'll get there with this, but you do have to go out there and slug it out sometimes.
Yeah.
And but it's worth it if when you get to the end, you get something that's pretty bulletproof.
Yeah,
and it shows like it's like if you were a diver, it'd be a high degree of difficulty, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're like
you really fought for, and sometimes it's not always like. Sometimes it's like. It popped into your head, you did it that night, and it killed. And those are nice, too.
Yeah.
But sometimes those ones that you fucking fought for,
yeah,
it's really cool to have those worked out.
Yeah, because like I like the jokes that are in the chunk. Like I like the jokes so much that I won't let the chunk die because it's like I'll work out the how to get theirs.
You can figure it out. Yeah, and that's it. You should trust yourself enough or be like, I'm funny. I'll figure out how to get there and make it easy for people to navigate and come on this ride with me. Right?
Yeah. If you can follow the logic, you'll enjoy yourself. But if you're stuck in on one,
but if you're stuck on that first word or something or on that one thing, then it can be tough.
So, and then the next thing I got to work on with that whole thing, both chunks, is to portray that I don't give a fuck, which is like not that because I pussyfoot around so much to try to make sure I'm safe, and I think I just gotta like be honest, and like if you. But we're still understanding the rules of avoiding the landmines, you know. But like, just say like you know, because I know I don't think anything wrong, right? So that if I let myself go a little bit, like I should be okay.
Sure, yeah, and that's it. Like you want to feel that way. You want to be like, I'm on the right side of the argument. I know this isn't coming from a hateful place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like saying it with confidence and if you say it with like I think enough confidence of the right approach, then they're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy's not a hateful guy, and it's also order too, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem is that sometimes guys will go up and they start with the retard joke, and I'm like, dude, they don't know you yet.
Yes.
Sometimes it's about building trust, right?
Yeah, you have to do that.
It's hard. I got to build trust all the time. I'm not starting with like my mom's been married 6 times.
No, but
like,
even just your
my
look,
gay brother, or even just my look, and just be like, I make some jokes about looking dangerous, but then I'm like, I make fun of myself, and
yeah,
you ease them into it, right?
Yeah.
No, I've had like lots of people. And my beard was like longer before, like you remember. It was like
Yeah,
down
yeah.
my chest and stuff. I remember like guys coming up to me after shows would be like, "I thought you were going to be a lot dirtier," and I'm like, you have to surprise them almost.
Yeah, yeah. Because I would say
You don't mean to be a cruder guy.
your actual act is in contrary to your image almost, which is
It's almost like I'm not like a like squeaky clean, but I'd say I'm more family friendly than some of these guys that actually look a lot nicer than me or something, right?
I'm almost opposite.
Yeah, you are, and you're like the clean cut guy who's maybe a little bit dirtier.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I'm the dirty looking guy who's actually
Clean.
cleaner.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like counter of one another. Yeah, because like all I can grow is these stupid sideburns because my wife doesn't like anything around.
Oh, she doesn't like any. Yeah.
Yeah, she's no problem with Civil War general though.
See, well, who does?
Yeah.
Heroes.
You're hot.
Yeah. See, I always had a beard. Katie's like literally never actually like see my
your
face in person.
You would. Yeah, that would be like traumatic for her. I bet.
Oh yeah, no, she'd probably leave. She'd make me leave the house. Like she'd be uncomfortable.
I remember my dad shaved his mustache when we were kids one time. He had to shave his mustache. And he always had a mustache. And we all cried.
You cried?
Yeah, we cried.
Kids, how young were you?
Oh, young. Like we were like,
you were like
6 or something.
I was 16. It rattled me to my core. You were little kids, though. Okay.
Yeah, we were little kids, and we were like, who are you? You know, like
who is this man in our house? Yeah.
It was really shocking. And then, we always laughed about it like after that because it's like, what do we care? Then, but he should grow that duster back, my dad. I should try to get into his ear about it.
My dad's growing a beard right now. It's actually, it's getting pretty big.
Yeah?
But he never had a beard.
Oh, really? He's taking it up late in life.
Yeah, I guess. For a bit, he's like, I'll shave it by the summer. I don't want to walk around the summer with this. I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
We got a picture together the other day because he came to the album release party, and he's like,
how'd that go in London?
Oh, it was great. It was full. It was like completely full. It was really fun.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
I love that place, and I love gin there, and everyone should support them.
Yeah, for sure.
You have the Korean chicken there?
This is great. Dude, so good.
It's great.
I had it, actually not, I should have fucking got it. No, I'm kicking myself for not getting it on Thursday. But I was there a few months ago with Matthew Ferguson and Tyler Shasman. They're like, dude, you got to get this chicken. And I tried it, and I was like, it was amazing.
Yeah. So smart. I'm like, it's a Korean guy running an Irish pub.
A Korean guy running this Irish pub. Why not?
Yeah,
put that on the menu.
Yeah, do your Korean.
People aren't going to care.
Yeah, you don't want to have a Mexican guy making sushi, you know? Like, you let him make Mexican food.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have what you're good at, what you love, you know?
Oh, they nailed it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. And they give you, like, kimchi and the, like, pickled turnip.
That's right. Yeah.
So good.
It's so good.
He's the nicest guy, too.
Oh, Jin and Jimmy are both amazing. And now there's another, I don't know if you know this, but Jin's kind of, like, stepping back a little bit.
Oh, is he now?
So there's this other owner named Nino, and he used to work there kind of like as a bartender, like waiter and stuff. And he's involved now. So that's mostly who I dealt with
Nino.
Album release party was like Nino was like booking the room and everything that. But hopefully I still get to see Jin around there because I love Jin.
Yeah, he's been so good to me over the years, He'll, like, even when I was there, it wasn't nothing to do with comedy. I was just there showing. I was in London with my wife, and I was just like, hey, you want to see where I do comedy sometimes, you know? And then we went down to Poacher's to have a drink, and he saw me there and gave us one on the house.
So nice. Oh, anytime I come in, he's like, "You want? What do you want? What do you need?" Anytime I come back, I feel like a celebrity of us. He's so kind.
Yeah.
And then I remember even like years ago, like when I was living in London, I worked the door there for a bit. And at the end of the night, he'd take out a shot glass and he'd put it on the table. He'd be like, "Dad, just smoke inside. Have a beer." I'd be ashing into a shot glass.
That's the best.
Drinking inside, hanging out with them. Just like very cool, you know?
Yeah.
Very nice. Like,
and that's, again, you probably can't do that at Boston Pizza, right?
No, and you can't do that in a chain restaurant. Yeah, the owner of Boston Pizza would be like, "No, corporate will cut my throat if they find out I let you smoke it here." But Jin, who owns Poacher's
and after hours one time, and
Right.
we were all smoking. Some of us brought our own booze in there.
So when you're a young guy and you get into a bar after hours, you just think it's the coolest fucking thing in the world.
It's the best.
You just feel like a rock star.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Everyone else is gone. You get to stay.
You get the special treatment. No, it's great.
Yeah. I love it. Swazi's in Waterford. Swaz is like that.
Okay.
If you stick around, and you know Swaz, you get to stay.
Then he's like, come on. We've done Swazis, right?
Yeah, we've done Swazis,
I thought so a couple times. Yeah.
Get the fryers on for you. It's good though. Like I love those little bar owners that they're happy for you. Like Swazi,
and that's the thing.
They're happy because he's seen me when I started. He was one of the first guys to let me book a show there. And then when I come back, like I do it like maybe once a year. So that we see you improve.
So they see growth and stuff too. Yeah.
So he comes over and he's like, "Man, you're really getting better." Like he gets to see it.
Right.
So it's kind of nice. Like
that is really nice.
The guy that does Crazy Canuck in Kitchener.
He's great like that. He's always rooting for you. He's always like, oh God, like over like when stuff just started to open back up again.
He'll put your album on the wall there.
Oh yeah, no, I got to bring it in for him. Yeah, you're right. When when stuff just started to open back up, there wasn't a bunch of rooms open in Hamilton, so I would drive anywhere just to do 5 to 7 minutes, just to kind of knock the rust off, right?
Yeah.
And I would talk to Sandy McFarlane, who runs the Crazy Connect show, a Rusty Nail, and I'd be like, dude, can I just get a guest spot? He'd be like, yeah, come by, whatever. Do your guest spot. And I would do it, and then the owner of the bar would insist that I leave with a free meal.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, I did 7 minutes. You can't give me a whole pizza. He's like, yes, I can.
Yeah, if you don't eat it there, he'll make you take it home.
No, that's what he did. He'd put it in a box for me. He'd be like, drive it home, eat it at home.
Yeah.
And it's great pizza. It's great food.
Yeah. And they treat the comics so well there.
Well, he likes comedy. That's what you want, man. That's what I'm saying. These, like, I feel like some of these newer comics now, they have this idea that it's just like, we'll just do a dive bar and we'll just be rough. No.
Yeah.
You want nice working relationships.
Yeah.
The audience will still let you know if something's not funny.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People still bomb at the Crazy Connect sometimes or at Poachers, right? It's not too easy.
Yeah.
Just book bars that you have a good working relationship with. Don't book these places where, like, it almost seems like they hate you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You want
to be excited about what you're doing.
You want those guys like Jin, and sorry, what's the dude from? I don't even know his name.
Oh shit! Don't put me on
so
the spot.
fucking nice.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy, and I
can't even know his fuck.
I know, I feel
But
terrible.
yeah, that's who you want. You want those kinds of relationships is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't understand how most of the time it's like exactly the opposite of that, where people will book
those guys shouldn't be the exception. They should be the rule.
Yeah. Like, I think there's people out there that'll be excited. Like, if I talk to a guy and he's like, okay, you can do it, but I'm not going to do anything for you. You're on your own. I'm not even shutting the TVs off.
That happens. That happens way too often.
Yeah, that's usually what the deal. The people who are booking her are just so happy that they said yes that they take it. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go in there, like I know this from like even that's why I'm back to Swazi's because I want the room to be a certain way.
The room's got to be a certain way for success.
Yeah, and I don't want there to. I don't want to be intermingled with the regulars. I'd rather have a place where there's a dedicated room for comedy. And so like stuff like that is where I'm at. Where I'm like I want to book. I know what I want in a show now, and if I'm booking it, it's going to be this level of show, and I want to be able to book the standard so that people know if you're booking a show for me, it's going to be good. It's going to cost you money, but it's going to be good, you know. And then everyone can get something out of it. So I'm hoping with the South Coast Comedy Festival, Jason, just to put a quick ad in there. South Coast Comedy Festival, we're currently looking for fundraising partners to do 5 shows here in Norfolk County. And so if you're interested, please reach out at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com, or you can reach out on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And also, as always, if you do need to give me any come on, mouse. Oh, you son of a bitch. If you do need to give me any, I'll just say feedback without the stinger, then you can also do the same thing, livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com or Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that shit. And support our sponsors, support us on Patreon. Go to our website, livefromthedutchhall.com, and click on our Amazon banner to do your shopping and help us out that way. And check out all of CleanFlow's great products, because CleanFlow makes the wheels go on this thing now. Thank you for your sponsorship, CleanFlow, Bling. And Jason, your album is called Known Alias.
Yeah.
It's out on all major music platforms yet, or is it still?
Yes. No, it's out on everything. It was on, it dropped on April 1st.
Oh, cool.
Check it out on all platforms. And if you're in Hamilton, I'm doing another album release party, because I live in Hamilton now, on Thursday, April the 28th at 8 p.m. at Levity Comedy Club.
Excellent. I can't wait for that. Actually, I hope to come to that. I'm gonna
Come by. Do a spot, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm definitely coming.
Do it. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
So that's our show. If I'm gonna, let's just, I'm gonna ask you one hypothetical question.
Please.
To end the show.
Let's do it.
If you could take one aspect of personality, let's say it could be strength, it could be charisma, it could be intelligence, it could be anything, and you can amplify one aspect of your personality, but then you also have to lose on another part of your personality in order to get it.
Right.
Which one would you gain? Which one would you lose?
Okay. Oh, I think that, this is kind of easy, because I feel like sometimes I can be like a little hot-headed.
Right.
So I think that if anything, I would amplify like my outgoingness and lose a bit of my hot-headedness and my quick to react.
So you'd
some of that anger. I'd lose some of that anger.
Lose some of the fire for some charm, or like some
for like a bit of like schmooziness and charm. I think would help me a bit more.
Is that really okay? Cool. Because I'd take that from you, but I would be the same way. I want to get more charm.
More charm.
But I didn't know what I would give up to get. I was going to go with just strength or good looks, because both of those are doing me no good.
You can't lose any more of that, sir. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about? I got plenty to spare. Oh, you should see how beautiful I used to be, eh? That was great.
Oh, I remember seeing pictures of you as a young man, or like you and Jane at the wedding photo.
It was handsome.
And I'm like, oh, she got fucking robbed in the long run here. What happened?
Yeah,
but at the time you were a good looking guy.
Gorgeous, eh? Back then, yeah. You don't understand.
That's what happens. You age.
I still feel that way in my head.
That's why I'm never losing the beard, because if people saw my chinless face,
oh, you'd be just horrible, old looking, wrinkled lizard.
Yeah, it's awful.
Anyways, Jason, you're not that now. You're beautiful and gorgeous, and we're really happy to have you here. Thanks a lot for stopping by and chatting with me. Thank you, everyone. Go support this man's album, support comedy, and we'll see you, NT. See you next Thursday. Oh, wait. I shouldn't do that stuff till I got... Oh,
the mouse.
The goddamn mouse. It's the bane of my existence.
It's the most high-tech system, and then he just doesn't buy a desk.
Exactly. See you, NT. See you next Thursday. Stop. Yes. It's because I turned them around.